So here we are again, great to be with you. I'm glad you've joined us at Shooting and Country TV. We're continuing to develop basic training and the retrieve for these young gun dogs. A different dog with me today, this young dog called Cooper. He's a white-haired Hungarian Vizsla, so he's one of the HPR groups. He's still a very young dog, there's lots for him to learn, and there will be some things we do with him today that will be first time. So like we said in the previous video where things didn't always go to plan, things won't always probably go to plan today. So we've moved up, we've got this whole selection, and nowadays guys, you know, in the old days when I started a long time ago, I'm afraid to say, that was the dummy, that was what we had, yeah? And then we had game basically. Nowadays, we've got this, look what, you know, just look at it, it's just fantastic. These are all training aids that Sporting Saint have gone to huge length to develop. So we can kind of go from that puppy that you saw, puppy dummy, sorry, that you saw in episode 1, to we can nearly have our dog retrieving what represents a great big cock pheasant. It's the right color, it's got all the flappy bits, and it's the flappy bits that are important that your dog needs to learn about. Sit, good boy, I know you're tempted. This old-fashioned or standard canvas dummy, do you remember, it hasn't got many waggly things on. It's got a toggle, sometimes you have to take those off. It's got a little tab, sometimes you have to take those up. There's lots of things that you can do. Within the range of all the dummies that are available to us, nowadays we can just go and buy a dummy that suits the dog at the stage he's at. And as we move into anything that's got woggly or waggly bits on, flappy bits on it, you will see some dogs, and I suspect with this fella, because he came to me, this is a dog I got when he was about 12 months of age, and he had this, hey, I'm going to kill stuff. He would put stuff in his mouth and try and kill it. Basically, I think he'd been on game too early before he'd really learned to deal with all of the other elements of dummy work. So we have to slowly but surely school him out of those habits. Today, when I use these pheasant dummies or duck dummies. There's lots and lots of different dummies. Thank you very much. That's very kind. Good boy. Coops, come on, back on the board. When we show you all of the different kinds, so we've got rabbit dummies with a little bit of rabbit fur on to encourage the dog to pick up in the middle. We've got what we call half rabbit dummies, where you're slowly introducing the dog to move from there to there. Some dogs don't automatically, they're not comfortable, particularly some of these hunt point retrieve breeds. They're a bit sensitive to transferring from one texture to another, so we have to develop it up. Other breeds, some of the Labrador retrievers will just pick up a brick if you throw it, but some of these more sensitive breeds are a little bit different. So as I said, we've got ducks, we've got pheasants, we've got what represents a partridge, which is clearly a lot smaller than that great big cock pheasant. And you can see already, just by looking at those two as a comparison, the difference. And ultimately, when we get a dog out in the shooting field, how he has to know, leave that, good boy, and sit. Sit. So Cooper's getting impatient, as probably are you, listening to me whittering on about dummies. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how we start to develop. Hey. So you'll notice now with the slightly older dog, I'm just giving them a tap if they get distracted. So we're bringing in a tiny element of correction. So Cooper has been schooled that if he sits on here, he gets food. But if I leave him for too long, you know, basically I'm pushing him above his threshold today. He's never been on a film set. He's never sat for half an hour while I rabbit at the camera. He's just not ready for this yet. So I need to just, if he goes to get off, I don't punish him. I just go, hey, what are you doing? Back on the board, good boy, stay there, so that slowly but surely I can develop his steadiness. Remember, we're going to take these guys out in the shooting field. It does not matter how steady your dog is in the barn or in your garden or in the local field. It is virtually no comparison to what they're going to experience when they get out into the shooting field. To say no comparison is a silly thing, because of course we're going to layer the levels of distraction up. Being here and having to sit while a cameraman moves it around him while I talk in a strange way, I'm addressing somebody else. I'm not, usually when he and I are working together, my focus is entirely on him, and he's used to me looking at him. Now he's got to get used to me doing other things beside that. They're all parts of the development of a young dog. So, hey. Good boy. We're still using the place board. I'm still combining the use of food. You may choose to do one or the other. And so what we'll do now, sit. I'm just going to move this away because if you remember in the previous episode, I so foolishly left that chair there and it proved to be a huge distraction. Cooper, sit. So what I want him to do now is to go straight out and straight back. We're still developing a retrieve with this dog. So first of all, I stand in front of him. I make a funny noise. I like to bring in the gunshot, this hand clap. Just gets him used to hearing a bang. You get good at really making a noise and it reverberates around this room. You see the dog's really keen to get to the dummy. He's been schooled to wait. He's still a long way from being 100% steady. I move alongside him. I'm now in that heel or finish position that we've been practicing. I bring my hand down alongside him. There are various poses. Some people like to get right down in here with the dog. You see, Cooper. Off he goes. Yeah, so you kind of can forgive that because I've been down, I've been faffing around. He's looking for the dummy. I'm going to tap the board here. He's hopefully going to come in, sit up, deliver, straight into finish. Now with this little dog, he came with the inherent habit that as soon as he got anywhere near you with a dummy, he would put his hand up, his feet up and try and tap you away. It was an element of possession. You've heard me talk about possession an awful lot today. It was just like, no, don't take it from me. I'm trying to overpower you. So I'm taking this from him really quickly. Otherwise his feet come up and he tries to paw away at me. That was a nice retrieve other than he ran in. Let's try and concentrate more. There's the gunshot. Everything about this says stay where you are. I need to be able to open the gate so that he sits there. And you see, he's watching me. He's learning to watch. Come on. He's watching me rather than attempting to run in. Now, when I get alongside him, I mustn't be quite so flappy as I was last time. I'm going to come in. I'm going to put my hand down and line him when he's looking at the dummy. Back. I'm going to use the whistle to recall him this time. In he comes, target the board, in there, dead. There's those feet that I don't like. And then the subsequent thing is he's got his foot caught in there. So we're not going to accept that. I'm going to wait till he's polite, dead, and finish. Okay, so you can see we had it with Nancy. Nancy was jumping up. There's lots, still, not lots, there's some refinement to do. We're working on all this stuff. It will come down, he will slowly get better at it, okay? So what we're going to do now is just to show you the comparison. And this is probably a silly thing to do. I'm going to give him a retrieve whereby, and bear in mind, this is a dog that I acquired with this, we'll call it a fault. It's not a fault, but with this behavior, and I need to school him to do it differently. I'm going to show you what happens when I move from a bog standard canvas dummy with one tiny little flappy bit and a toggle to one of those big pheasant dummies with all of those flappy bits. So I'm kind of setting myself and the dog up to fail, which is a really dumb thing to do, but I kind of want you to see and possibly experience, no. So there's a new dummy, can you see? Oh, he's really excited, like, wow. Sit. So I know because I'm going to throw this and it's new, he's going to be even less steady than before, so I'm going to be extra cautious. Sit, sit, put myself between him and the dummy. Out goes the dummy. There's the gunshot. Now I want you to just watch and see what I get, and I suspect he's going to probably shake his head and do what he's done for some while that we're slowly working on. There's ways around this. We'll have to talk about that in another video. Same approach, I come alongside him, sit, back. I'm going to whistle him to hopefully encourage him home. Cooper. That's it then, come on. Dead. Right, now, I have to let you into a secret. I did practice this for 2 retrieves before, and the 2 retrieves before we switched the camera on were awful. He picked it up, he shook it all over the place, ran around out here and tried to kill this bird. But I want you to understand that if you rush your dog, if you rush the transition from your training, from your kitchen to your training field, to your indoor stable or outdoor tennis court or whatever you choose to use, and then rush them out onto game, there's a really good chance you'll end up with a dog that damages game, that won't bring game back to you, that messes about, does all kinds of things. All the things, hey, sit. He's just spotted Vicky. Vicky stood off camera, and Vicky does a lot of his work with him. And he's just looking around. You know, he's a busy, inquisitive dog, which is why I love high-drive dogs like this. And he's just gone, oh, there's Vicky over there. I wonder if she wants to see me. So I'm saying, no, you've got to stay here. You mustn't go and see Vicky. And Vicky, you mustn't keep smiling at him because you're making him want to come to you. So look away, young lady. So sit. So there we go, guys. A series of 3 videos on which we just touch the surface with the beginnings of basic training, the use of all these fantastic pieces of equipment, all of these lovely dummies, these rabbit dummies, these pheasant dummies, these half-skin dummies. Remember, I think I told you about, because we haven't really covered it, is these white dummies. These white dummies are really good for when you're training a young dog. As you increase distance, you can stand them up. You can get them to stand up like that on the ground, and it helps to draw your dog's eye. He's using his eyes to draw him towards a retrieve and then pick it up. So they're all ways of lengthening retrieves. There is so much more to do. I hope if you're as mad about gun dogs as I am, that these are things that you won't see as hurdles that you've got to get over, more fun to be had as you layer up all the levels of training from a puppy at 8 weeks up to a dog that's maybe 2, 2.5, maybe 3 years old before he's really ready to go out into the shooting field and perform how you want him to. So, thank you so much for following these episodes. I hope you enjoy everything we're doing here at Shooting and Country TV. Don't forget to share and like, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future. So, Howard Kirby from Mullenscote Dog Training Centre. Whether you have one dog or multiple dogs like myself, insurance for veterinary care is really, really important. So, whether you have one dog or multiple dogs and pets, insurance is really important. There are some great insurance companies out there. My personal choice is the Insurance Emporium.